Sir, good evening, sir. I'm Vaigakshana from class 8B. May I ask a question to you?
Sure.
Could you please tell me, when we compare the neighbor country, China, with our own country, what do you think the difference focus of education and basic education quality?
Well, unfortunately, China is far ahead of us in many things. That you know, right?
Yes.
അവര് കമ്മ്യൂണിസ്റ്റ് റെവല്യൂഷനിൽ സ്വതന്ത്രമായതും നമ്മൾ ബ്രിട്ടീഷ് സാമ്രാജ്യത്തിൽ നിന്ന് സ്വതന്ത്രമായത് ഏകദേശം ഒരേ സമയത്താണ്. പക്ഷേ അവരുടെ കുറെ കൂടെ ഒരു ഹൊമോജീനിയസ് കമ്മ്യൂണിറ്റിയാണ്. എല്ലാവരും ഒരുപോലെയാണ് ചൈനയിൽ. നമ്മുടെ രാജ്യത്ത് അങ്ങനെയല്ലല്ലോ, ഒരാൾ പോലും മറ്റൊരാളിനെ പോലെ ഇരിക്കുന്നില്ല, അല്ലേ? നമ്മളെല്ലാം വ്യത്യസ്തരായ ആളുകളാണ്. അതുകൊണ്ടായിരിക്കാം ഒരുപക്ഷെ അവർക്ക് കുറച്ചുകൂടെ പ്രോഗ്രസ് ഉണ്ടായി എന്ന് വേണമെങ്കിൽ പറയാം. രണ്ടാമത്, കമ്മ്യൂണിസ്റ്റ് സിസ്റ്റത്തിൽ ഒരുപാട് സാക്രിഫൈസ് ചെയ്യാൻ ആളുകൾ തയ്യാറാണ്. നമ്മൾക്ക് അങ്ങനെയല്ലല്ലോ. ഡെമോക്രാറ്റിക് സ്ട്രക്ചറിൽ നമ്മളെല്ലാം നമ്മുടെ അവകാശങ്ങളെ പറ്റിയാണ് സംസാരിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഈ കാരണങ്ങളെല്ലാം കൊണ്ടായിരിക്കാം ചൈന ഇപ്പം നമ്മളെക്കാളും വളരെ മുന്നിലായിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇപ്പം നമ്മുടെ ടോട്ടൽ ഇൻകം ഏകദേശം $3 trillion ആണ്. അവരുടെ ഏകദേശം 15 വ്യത്യാസമുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഇന്ത്യയും ചൈനയുമായിട്ടുള്ള സാമ്പത്തിക ശക്തി ആയാലും സൈനിക ശക്തി ആയാലും ഒക്കെ നമ്മളിൽ മുന്നിലാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അത് രണ്ട് കാര്യങ്ങളാണ്. ഒന്ന്, കമ്മ്യൂണിസ്റ്റ് പാർട്ടിയുടെ ഡിസിപ്ലിൻ. രണ്ടാമത്തേത്, അവരുടെ ഒരു യൂണിഫൈഡ്, എല്ലാവരും ഒരുപോലെ പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്ന ആളുകളാണ്. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് കാരണം കൊണ്ടായിരിക്കാം. പക്ഷെ അതേ സമയത്ത് ചൈനയ്ക്ക് ഒരുപാട് വീക്ക്നെസ്സസും ഉണ്ട്. അവർ നമ്മളെപ്പോലെ എല്ലാ കാര്യത്തിലും എല്ലാവർക്കും സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യം നൽകുന്നില്ല. എപ്പോൾ വേണമെങ്കിലും അവർ വിളിച്ചുകൊണ്ടുപോയി ജയിലിലിടാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്, കൊല്ലാൻ സാധ്യതയുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ അതിനേക്കാളും ഒക്കെ മനോഹരമല്ല നമ്മുടെ രാജ്യം. നമുക്ക് ഇൻഡിവിജ്വൽ സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യമുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യം വേണോ പാല് വേണോ എന്ന് ചോദിച്ചാൽ എന്തായിരിക്കും പറയുക?
സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യം.
അതുകൊണ്ടാണ് നമ്മൾ ഡെമോക്രസിയിൽ വിശ്വസിക്കുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ ഇങ്ങനൊരു വ്യത്യാസമുണ്ട്. പക്ഷേ വി ആർ ഓൾസോ ഡൂയിങ് വെരി വെൽ.
Thank you, sir.
I'm Abhiniti from class 8B. Sir, as you worked in IFS, my question is, how does India balance its Indian foreign policy like the strategic autonomy with the cooperation and collaboration with other countries?
Well, that's a very, very good question. You understand India's foreign policy, it means. We used to call our foreign policy non-aligned earlier. Now we don't call it non-aligned. We call it strategic autonomy. Both are the same. Non-alignment എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ you don't naturally align with one country or the other. But we choose your friends. So you are not non-aligned in the sense, you are non-aligned in the sense that you are not naturally with somebody or the other. നമ്മൾ ഓരോടും നമ്മുടെ പോളിസി ഉണ്ടാക്കുമ്പോൾ we think about the merit of the case. സോ നോൺ അലൈൻ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ ആരോടും അലൈൻഡ് അല്ല എന്നല്ല അർത്ഥം. മനസ്സിലായില്ലേ? നമ്മൾ അലൈൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത് നമ്മുടെ തന്നെ ബുദ്ധി കൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾക്കറിയാവുന്ന തരത്തിലുള്ള ഇത്. ഓട്ടോമാറ്റിക്കായിട്ട് നമ്മൾ ആരുടെയും ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് അല്ല. വി ചൂസ് അവർ ഫ്രണ്ട്സ് ഓൺ ദ ബേസിസ് ഓഫ് ദെയർ വാല്യൂ ടു അസ്. അപ്പോൾ സ്ട്രാറ്റജി ഓട്ടോണമി എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ അത് തന്നെയാണ്. എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ നമ്മൾ ചിന്തിക്കുന്ന തരത്തിൽ നമുക്ക് ഏതാണ് നല്ലത് പോളിസി എന്നുള്ള തരത്തിൽ നമ്മൾ തീരുമാനിക്കുക. അപ്പോൾ അത് വലിയ വ്യത്യാസമില്ല. പക്ഷേ സ്ട്രാറ്റജിക് ഓട്ടോണമി കുറച്ചും കൂടെ നല്ലൊരു എക്സ്പ്രഷനാണ്. അപ്പോൾ അതാണ് നമ്മൾ ഫോളോ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. അപ്പോൾ നമുക്ക് ആരുടെ കൂടെയും സഹകരിക്കാം, ആരുടെ കൂടെയും ചേരാം. പക്ഷെ അതേ സമയത്ത് ആ തീരുമാനം എടുക്കുന്നത് നമ്മൾ തന്നെയാണ്. അതാണ് നോൺ അലൈൻമെന്റ്, അതാണ് സ്ട്രാറ്റജിക് ഓട്ടോണമി.
I am Neha from 8A. What are your thoughts on impacts of globalization and technological advancements on traditional diplomacy?
Well, that's a very big question. Fundamentally, there are so many things to be talked about. But all these that you mentioned, whether it is technology or whether it is good governance, and this is the responsibility of the government which guides us. We elect our governments, and therefore they have the responsibility to tell us in what way we go. And if we don't like them, we can throw them out. So the elections are an opportunity for you to choose your leaders who lay down their policy, and if that policy doesn't suit you, you can throw them out. This time in Delhi, Congress party did not get even one seat out of 70. So that means people have rejected. Doesn't mean that they are rejected forever. Next elections, perhaps they will come with a better policy. And so that is the beauty of democracy. So this guidance comes from our leadership, but we are the ones who send them there. And that is why democracy is the best form of government. And in all this, of course, we want to develop our technology, as I said earlier. We want to be the best in the world, and we are always aspiring to do more and more. And we want to do it with international cooperation. No single country can do anything in this world. So you need friends, you need the kind of people you can work with, and that is how the formulation is made. Otherwise, it's too detailed. But what I'm saying is, the government lays down the policy, and we follow it, and we have all the opportunity to remove them if they are not right.
Myself, I am Amnia from class 90. So we know that foreign affairs had some benefits like economic growth, national security, etc. Is there any negative side
For what? What was the first?
for foreign affairs?
What kind of policies? Is that what you mean?
We know that foreign affairs had some benefits like economic growth, national security, etc. Is there any negative sides for that?
Negative side?
Yeah.
For our foreign policy?
Yes.
Well, we hope there is nothing negative, because we make these choices, but at the same time, things may go wrong. It is not in our hands that Pakistan doesn't like you or China doesn't like you. What is it that you can do? So we have to constantly readjust and try and cooperate. Now you know what President Trump is doing. He is saying all kinds of very, very strange things, isn't it? He is the President of the United States. He has the power to do that. But at the same time, we should realize that he is being very irresponsible. So we have to now our Prime Minister is going to Washington this week in order to find out what this man wants. You know, he is wanting Canada as part of his country. He wants the Panama Canal. He wants Greenland. Such things we have never heard of. You are the president of your country. You are not the president of the world. So the way he is talking as though he thinks he is the president of the whole world, and he doesn't seem to recognize others. So we are going through a big crisis. He decided to send away the so-called illegitimate or illegal migrants. He just put 204 of them in a plane, tied them up and sent them to India. How is it acceptable? That is why there was such a big protest in the parliament. Whatever you do with the consent of the country concerned. Now I think it will be settled when our Prime Minister goes to Washington. He will tell them, yes, if they are Indian people, if they have committed crimes abroad, we will be quite happy to take them. But this is not the way you do. You humiliate them, you tie them up, put them in a plane, don't give them water for 40 hours. This is not legitimate. So this meeting that our Prime Minister is going to have with Mr. Trump is going to be the most difficult one. They were good friends last time. But this gentleman, within 5 days of becoming the president, he has issued 80 executive orders saying the most impossible things. So such misfortune can happen. So we have to now, we cannot throw him out. Even the Americans cannot throw him out. You have to keep him for 4 years. But then he must be made to realize. So if I were to advise my Prime Minister, I would say we have to clearly tell him what we expect of him. And if he doesn't, then we have to find a way to go somewhere else. So it's a very, very crucial moment. And this particular visit by Mr. Modi to Washington is extremely important, because we have to come to some understanding with him and what is noble, what is legal, what is legitimate. So it's a big crisis. Our foreign policy is at a kind of crossroads. What we are able to make him understand, the world's future will depend on that. So we have to wait.
My name is Zaina Fatima. I am from 8th. What aspect of your work as an IFS officer do you find most meaningful?
Meaningful than what?
What I mean
Becoming an IAS officer, becoming a teacher.
Becoming an IFS officer.
IAS officer?
IFS. IFS.
No. Being an IFS officer, what do you want me to compare it with? Any other profession?
IAS officer.
The difference between IAS and IFS?
Yes, sir.
Good. You know that IFS is Indian Foreign Service
Yes, I know.
and the IAS is Indian Administrative Service. So it's very clear that our job is to represent India abroad. Okay? And the IAS officers are administering the country. Which is better, I do not know. I found Foreign Service interesting because it gave me an opportunity to see the world. I have worked in 14 countries. I've traveled to 100 countries. And I know many presidents, prime ministers, so many people. Such an opportunity, where will you get?
No,
But there is a difference depending on your personality. If you are a bookworm, sit and study everything, you know, a great Pandit, then don't join the Foreign Service. You have to be an extrovert. You know the meaning?
Yes, sir.
Extrovert. You must be always available to explain what you need to do and make them understand and convert them to your thinking. That is what the Foreign Service officers do. IAS officers have the power. I have no power as an ambassador. I can only explain because they are not my subjects. I am not administering them. I can say what is good about India and leave it to them. But the administrative service officers are working with the people on the ground. Haven't you seen these collectors going into the water and saving children and all that? No? I have never been into that water. Nobody will ask me to do that. I'm not saying that that is better for me, no. But each profession has a separate responsibility. So how you choose, because you have to choose it very early, even before you take the exam, you have to tell them which one you prefer. Not only IFS and IAS, but also about 25 other jobs. So you have to tell them what you want, you have to analyze each one of them and decide what you want. And what you get is what you win. Depending on your rank, you may get what you want and you may get what you don't want. But all the services, all these 25 services are very, very good. Salaries are the same, opportunities are the same, but it depends on your instinct. I instinctively said, as I said, my father told me be an ambassador. I tried to find out what it was and worked about it. And my brother also followed me. But it doesn't happen in every family. You may choose something else. But it depends on your, as you grow up, you will know what appeals to you. If you want to rule over the people, order a lathi charge, IAS is very good, or IPS. But in the Foreign Service, I do not have a lathi at all. Only goodwill you have. So in the Foreign Service, you have to have much more personality capability. You have to be charming, you have to be friendly, you have to be... And no files. In the IAS, it's all files, you write on that. And somebody else will implement it. Or you go to the field and do it. Both are very challenging. But I chose Foreign Service. And I also recommend to others, my own students, that if you can make it, join the Foreign Service. It is much more interesting, experiencing, and different from what administrative officers do. Well, police has its own duties, customs officers, all of them are good. But one thing I have to remember is if you are a bookworm and you do not want to see people, you don't want to go to a party in the evening, then don't join the Foreign Service. Now I am doing so many things because of that. In the Foreign Service, you work in the office, then most of the time your work is after office. You have to go to parties, you have to mix with people, you have to host parties, you have to deal with them and create friendships all around the world. And that I thought was very fascinating. But if you have the power to be a collector or an SP, you can make changes in the world, in your own country. Right?
Yes, sir.
So you decide.
Thank you, sir.
Myself Nanmaya from class 9 day. On the last Republic Day, a Wing Commander Akshay Saxena was awarded a Vayusena Medal for his bravery in the Operation Sankalip. December 14, 2023 കുറച്ച് സൊമാലിയൻ പൈറേറ്റ്സ് നമ്മുടെ ഇന്ത്യൻ ഷിപ്പായ MV റൂവൻ കീഴ്പ്പെടുത്തുകയും അതിലെ 17 ക്രൂ മെമ്പേഴ്സിനെ ബന്ദികളാക്കുകയും ചെയ്തു. ഇതിന് പ്രതിവിധി എന്നോണം March 17, 2024 അക്ഷയ് സക്സേന ക്യാപ്റ്റൻ ചെയ്ത എയർക്രാഫ്റ്റ് C-17 ഗ്ലോമാസ്റ്റർ 3 ഹൈജാക്ക് ചെയ്യപ്പെട്ട ഷിപ്പിൽ പറന്നിറങ്ങുകയും മറൈൻ കമാൻഡേഴ്സിനെ ട്രാൻസ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുകയും ചെയ്തു. അക്ഷയ് സക്സേനയുടെ ഈ ഒരു ആക്ഷനാണ് അദ്ദേഹത്തെ വായുസേന മെഡൽ ലഭിക്കാൻ അർഹനാക്കിയത്. He switched off all the electronic emigrants and traveled at a very low altitude above the international waters. So my question is, if India had this much courage and ability to rescue its hostages at a risky situation, then what happened on the 5th February 2025? Why India didn't take a specific action to transport its illegal immigrants from America?
You're talking about the present situation, deportation.
Yes, sir.
But that was an aberration. It was not a normal thing that happened. What happened was, I believe, when our foreign minister was in Washington, this was not a live issue. The president kept saying that there are 21 million illegal immigrants in the United States and I'm going to deport them. Okay? And nobody believed it. 21 million people, how do you deport them? To where? They may not even have a country. Even these people, we don't know whether they're actually Indians or they only look like Indians. So we expected it to be a long process of identification, bringing them back, working together, etc. But Mr. Trump, in his own style, just put them in the plane and sent them. We did not even know at that time. We heard from international news. Reuters reported that one plane has gone to India. Then only we checked, and then we wanted to make sure that they were enabled to land, so we gave them permission. And we did not know they were tied in, chains and all that. So it was lack of clarity on our side. We should have been more careful. And that is why the parliament was very upset. I mean, their coming back is not bad. If they have to come, they have to come. But they should be brought with respect, and we should treat them with respect. In Guatemala, a plane went there. The vice president of the country went to receive them at the airport. So that is the kind of respect that we should give to our nationals. But this is a lack of, what shall we say, care. Lack of, our ministry should have done much better than that. But now we have asked for details, we'll study, we'll make sure they are Indians and all that we'll do in the future. It is not to be compared with our heroism. It's not a matter of heroism. It's a matter of a chance a mistake was made.